Good evening, brothers and sisters. My name is Richard Koritz. I'm proud to be the co-host of You Gotta Laugh to Keep From Crying with my old friend, my old brother, just plain old, and definitely a friend.
Well, I want to thank you for that fabulous introduction, and my brother, because it's a blessing to get old the way I see it.
Yes, sir.
But the one thing we want to get out of the way and let the people understand that we are brought to you by the North Carolina Triad Jobs with Justice, where you can reach us at 336-272-2758 or email
at North Carolina Triad
Jobs with Justice at gmail.com. And now you'll introduce our guest here.
Yeah, we're excited.
Brother. Yes.
And you have a button.
Well, you introduce him, and I'm going to give him the button.
Okay, sounds good. So we have with us this evening three people who have been active with Indivisible, Guilford County. And we've, as those of you that watch our show regularly know, that we've been promoting the October 18th national demonstration called by Indivisible. And we're really excited to have these sisters and the brother on with us, because Indivisible was the group that actually even put some courage into some of the gutless Democratic Party people
that
have failed to resist Trump's drive toward fascism until now. And this year, I believe it was June 17th, 5 to 6 million people were out in the streets and all over the United States in more than 2,000 cities and towns. And all of a sudden, there was people had some hope, there was strength, and we've even seen some Democrats, like I'm going to mention Gavin Newsom in this period, take on the great dictator.
Yes.
So with that, we have with us Karen Skelton, who has been a member of Indivisible for the entire 9 years of its history. David Smith, who's what we've been told is one of the people who helped to plan the big demonstration, and has been volunteering everywhere that he needs to be to help the Indivisible Guilford County. And an old friend of Sandra and myself, Nancy Link, who's got a great spirit and brings a lot of union experience and life experience to this movement, which she has participated in.
And I just want to cut the brother off to let you know we're going to give each one of them our highest award, which is our button that says "Workers Deserve Respect."
Amen.
Right.
And I'll give a button to you, ma'am, and I want to shake your hand.
Yeah, and me
I
too.
want to give a button to you, sir.
Me too. Yeah.
And I want to shake your hand.
Thank you.
And to a return guest, this is a new button.
Yeah,
and I
it's a
want to
bigger
shake
button.
your hand and say welcome.
Thank you.
Till you got to laugh to keep from crying.
Yeah.
This is a very important thing that we are trying to publicize, to let the people know that we cannot allow a person to be elected the president of the United States to become a dictator, a king, or whatever you want to call him. So we'll let you open up with a little speech about your organization, a little information. I'm going to cut that speech about your organization as why it exists.
All right, so definitely not a speech, just a little bit of background so that we can go from the top bird's eye level and down a little bit lower to where we are.
It all depends on where the top is. Where do the people start at? The people is the top of my book.
And the people that started this were congressional staffers. They worked in Washington, D.C., and during the years of the rise of the Tea Party movement, remember that?
Sure.
Yes.
And they said, who are these people who came together and started organizing so effectively? They watched what they were doing and decided to build a bit of a playbook. They built a Google document that said, people don't understand what their city council does, their county commissioners, their state representatives, the justices at state, local, and federal level, and their congressional representatives. So we need to make sure that people have civics, that they are educated, aware, and informed, and help them build relationship with their representatives and those staffers. That's the first line that you interact with. So they built this document and said, have at it. They spread it around the country, and people met in each other's homes and said, what do we do? How do we hold our representative accountable? How do we get him to hold a town hall where we are heard? Let's build relationship with the staffers so that they know who we are and they will let us in the door. And it's going to look differently if you have Democratic reps, Republican, and Independent, battleground states, as they call them. Everywhere is going to be a little unique. So they built this out, and then Trump got elected January 2017, and there's been a lot of organizing and protesting to resist that agenda, right? Because we see how anti-democratic it is. So we went through 4 years of resisting the Trump agenda that was very harmful to many people and to our ideals and our policies and our Constitution. Then we had 4 years of the Biden administration where we were focused on voter education, outreach, information, advocacy, stop voter suppression. We've seen a lot of that in North Carolina. Stop the gerrymandering. We worked really hard with All on the Line NC to fight back against the gerrymandering that took place after the 2020 census. So a lot of the work that we've been doing is to make sure that people are informed and engaged voters. So that was 4 years. Now, here we are in Trump term 2.0, and we said, we can't just go back to resisting Trump. Resisting isn't enough. We need to give people something to fight for and to fight with, to work together. So we've been really focused this past 9 months on coalition building, getting connected with all kinds of groups, mostly progressive, social justice in nature, and many it's very nonpartisan. It's really about values.
Yeah. I just want to say this, that's key to being nonpartisan. It's key to be nonpartisan, because the thing that has stopped any real motion among the people, what has sapped initiative from the people, has been the whole idea of relying on the Democratic Party to do it for you. So this is where I see the indivisible as having been exactly what was needed, because it not only is it nonpartisan, which I don't think I had heard that term to describe it, but it's been oriented in this period around action. Real resistance, not just limited to voting. And that's vital. That's vital. The other is a dead end street. Once you hear, even if you watch the progressive channels on TV or whatever, as soon as somebody mentions Democratic Party, the whole thing just degenerates into a dead end street for the most part.
And I think it's important for people to remember that North Carolina is a great example of what you find across the country. We're roughly 30% registered Democrats, Republicans, and unaffiliated. And you will find that about a one-third across the country. So you want to reach independents. You want to reach unaffiliated. We also have non-democratic left-leaning parties, Democratic Socialists, for example, that are going to be left out of the conversation, and that's not right. We also now, more than ever this past 9 months, we're having traditional Republicans say, I didn't leave my party left me. Is there a home for me? I'm not ready to go sign up and become a registered Democrat. Is there a home for me at Indivisible?
Right.
And so we've got a lot of folks coming now from all angles,
Yeah.
and that's why we need to be values-based and issues-based and not party-based.
And Mamdani in New York,
Yes.
It's a
OW.
perfect example.
Exactly. OW and I, on our show, have discussed Mamdani's significance, as we see it, a number of times. But when you look at the functions of the main corporate, I'll say Wall Street Democratic Party forces, they've done everything they could to get either Adams or
No, he's talking about
No,
Cuomo.
Cuomo, yeah.
Cuomo.
No, yeah, I couldn't hear what you said. Thanks for the help. But yeah, exactly. So, yeah. So I think we're ready to,
Well, I want to
Would
just,
you like to
I'll touch briefly, before we talk about the current one, talk about what got us here. We had a hands-off event in April that was a very, very large movement of over 1,000 groups across the country. Hands off our health care, hands off our education, hands off our democracy.
Our treasury.
Yes, so our federal workers.
Yeah,
This idea of no kings, though, actually goes back that far. People are asking why this message, this label of no kings.
oh, that's great.
And I wanted to address that because some people on the right will say, oh, this isn't a monarchy, you don't know what you're talking about. So I wanted to address that and how it got us to where we are this month. February 19th, President Trump had been in office less than a month, and he overrode Governor Kathy Hochul of New York State about issues affecting New York City. And he said, there, I saved New York City for you all. Long live the king. So this is what actually started it, was his own words less than 4 weeks into office. And the official government channels, include the White House, amplified that message. So he said it, we're working with that. When we had No Kings 1, the first one in June, we also wanted to explain to people that this isn't just about a monarchy, this is about dictators, authoritarians, oligarchs, all right? The corporate billionaires that are getting more influence rather than we the people. So what we're doing right now is we're building a movement, and we're riding the momentum of June 14th to October 18th. And you're right, we had record-setting, nearly 5 million people across the country show up on June 14th.
Right.
And the goal is to hit this magic number of 3.5% of the population to get up, to stand up and speak out and be a part of this. This is what's been known around the world as sort of a tipping point to affect political change. We've seen it in France and Poland and other places.
Thank you so much.
So
That's,
that's where we're going to.
Yeah, very helpful.
Too.
And David can give us the picture about the local focus with the national takeover from your narrative.
So October 18th will be No Kings 2 nationwide, which here in Guilford County we're actually doing something a little bit different than what we have done. In the past we've all rallied at the courthouse for all of our events, and then we usually have a march around the block and people stay with their signs for a good while and get a block's worth of people to honk their horns and wave at us and stuff, which has been fantastic and wonderful. But we have one of our organizers, Tammy, who is just absolutely great, and I love working with her, as well as the whole team, who really pushed for us to think of the idea of something she saw out in Chicago back in May, where they had a 30-mile stretch of people that were just lining the street in this main drag. So if you drove down the street for 30 miles, all you saw were all these people over and over again delivering this message of, no kings, no authoritarians, fighting oligarch, all the things that Karen mentioned that we are trying to get a movement behind. And we thought, why couldn't we do that here? And it really is an important thing that we do it, especially this way, I feel, and a lot of our team feels, because there's still, as we were discussing before we started recording here, there's still a lot of people who don't stand up and say anything, right? And I don't blame a lot of those people, because this is a scary moment. It's really scary. Every time I go to do one of these events, my wife gives me a different kind of hug and a different kind of kiss when I leave the house, right? It's scary of what might happen, what could come of this resistance. And I can't help but be optimistic that good will come of this resistance no matter what. But we need more people to know that it is a huge resistance here in Guilford County, and that their neighbors are up there, out there doing it, and we want them with us. Because as you mentioned, it's about building coalitions, it's about building community. The only way you can stop authoritarianism, the best, most effective tool for that is building community. If the community that exists is quiet and lets things happen, then they will happen. But if the community that exists knows that we are all brothers, we are all sisters, we are all connected, and we all have a stake in this, and we all want to rise up against it, and if you do, I got your back, and if I do, you have my back, and we feel that community, it's much easier to stand up, and it's much easier to get to that 3.5% mark that we want to get to and have that tipping point. So we want people to drive 5 miles down Wendover on the 18th for 2 hours and see their community out there. Black, white, men, women, children, the whole community represented.
Immigrants.
Everybody out there, at least a tiny piece of them displayed, if not a large piece of each one. And I get people of color, if they're uncomfortable coming out to these things, that's fine. It's my turn to stand up and fight for the rights that they fought for when I didn't even exist, so that I have the opportunity here today in 2025 to stand up and fight for them.
I just want to inject that I understand what you're saying, but I think it's best said when the man says, "Give me liberty or give me death," when there was establishing this country, the United States of America. And people have to understand that as long as you're going to have fear for your life, they got control over you. They must be understood that this is why you get liberty, because you're not liberated as long as you're afraid to die. You're going to do it anyway.
Right.
Why not do it for a just cause? And the just cause is the freedom for all people.
And I would quote the Declaration of Independence, and my favorite line in the movie National Treasure, when he goes and he's looking at the Declaration of Independence, and that line in there that is so eloquently written, and I'm probably going to mess it up, but when a long train of abuses and usurpations happen, it is the duty of the people to throw that off,
to destroy
and to install a new guard for the security of our future. And that is 100% what we are trying to do as Indivisible. And that is why it takes every single one of us to do it.
That's right. And it's almost unreal that I believe that when I went to school, they said it was a government of the people, for the people, and by the people, which now is the government of the money, for the money, and by the money. And we have to understand the difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I wanted to mention that here in Greensboro, we had such a clear example of Mr. Nasser, or Nacer, N-A-C-E-R, hardworking, well-respected in the community, the whole area, the Winston-Salem area, too. And people supported him, and even 5 Democratic local legislators came out and supported him.
Right.
And so that's a good example of where this is already taking a practical turn, and we need more of it. We got some in other places like LA and so on, where there's been all this solidarity. I mean, we've seen a real growth in solidarity, and that's a wonderful thing, as you both referred to. Solidarity forever. I'll add my little slogan in there. And with that, we'd like to get some words from our very enthusiastic and spirited friend, and a former union leader, and very highly regarded in this house.
There's no such thing as a formal.
Thank you.
And you're right about her too. That's absolutely
Well, you
right.
know, like so many people, I felt horrified watching Donald Trump get elected to a second term. Prior to that, I read Project 2025, which he claimed he knew nothing about. It's
Good.
currently being implemented.
Yeah.
I had downloaded it. I had been reading it. I was like, this is a terrible situation that we're heading into. And now with all the things we've seen so far, I mean, the recent attack on our First Amendment free speech rights is actually the most important thing we can be fighting against right now, because this country was built on dissent. If we're not allowed to speak our mind and not agree with the people in charge, then it is indeed fascism, dictator, king, oligarch, authoritarian, whatever you want to call it. It means that we, the people, no longer have any voice. And I would like to say that freedom of speech without freedom of association means I can only whisper to myself. So we are allowed, and we should be out there together, all people who don't agree with what's going on, because we need to have that dissent, and we cannot let them make us afraid to show up and speak out. Tom Paxton, who some older people might know, is an old, he's still alive, he's 87, and he's written a new song. And the chorus of the song says, "No kings here, not in my America. No kings here, not in my USA. Got no need for royalty. We believe in loyalty to what we call democracy. No kings here." It's a very catchy tune. I would encourage people to look it up online and learn that chorus, because I think when we are lining Wendover Avenue, we should be singing together, because it's the most unifying thing and it reaches right into everybody's hearts. So I encourage everybody listening, show up on October 18th, bring your most clever signs, think about the issues that affect us: food, utilities, health care, the right to speak, education, the right to national parks and public lands, the right to a job, the right to living wages, all those things. I hear nothing coming out of Washington. They never talk about our issues. It's only about making more money for themselves, and it's sickening, and we need what we need to live happy and pursuit of happiness kinds of lives. So I encourage everybody to show up.
And I just want to add to what you said, Nancy. To me, the most important issue was actually mentioned by Ezra Levin on I think it was probably MSNBC, because I like those three people that are on together. Happened to be a black man, a Latina, and an Afro-American woman.
Well, actually, the truth don't have no color.
But among and they don't. None of them is great on their own. Together, they're great. But Ezra Levin, only time I've ever seen him, and he was asked by those three for his analysis of the significance of the big, bad, abominable bill, as we and Elon Musk and other people have all called it. And Ezra said, the most important, most urgent thing is the explosive growth that this bill represents for ICE. The 10 times, I believe, Debbie, we talked about, 10 times as large, came to the fore as a national police organization. Now it's actually a semi-military organization, and it's hard to know, as we've discussed, when they go into these cities against the interests of the people who are the elected representatives of the city and the state, and they're there mainly to hound and harass,
Intimidate, put fear.
exactly, in the immigrant workers. And
No, you said immigrants,
wait a minute,
workers,
let me-
period. Anybody who willing to stand up against Trump, they want to put fear in
Okay,
you
okay.
to sit down
That's-
and shut up.
First
That's
they came
true.
for one group, then they'll come for the
That's-
next.
that's
So
right,
we are
yeah.
not all, any of us are
That's
safe,
right.
not safe.
That's true.
Yeah.
But as someone whose family goes back to the Palmer raids of early 1920, and when the U.S. government, when Wilson was not available, and the Attorney General of the United States, A. Mitchell Palmer, led those raids with the help of the young J. Edgar Hoover and so on, they were directed against the immigrant workers. And there was immigrant workers that were deported in their hundreds, at least, in that situation. And what you and O.W. just said was absolutely true. But when what the Lutheran minister and pastor in Germany,
Bonhoeffer.
no,
Yeah.
what he said, but what he
Niemöller.
Niemöller,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
And what he said is a good way for us to close, if we can, before we say, "In our unity lies our strength."
Yes,
As our
we-
old union
we
saying.
hold hands.
We hold hands, and you're a hell of a good group of people to hold hands with. But before we say that, when they came for the communists, I wasn't a communist. I didn't respond. When they came for the socialists, I wasn't a socialist, and I didn't respond. When they came for the Jews, I wasn't a Jew, and I didn't respond. And now they've come for me, and there's no one here to defend me.
So,
Brothers
so
and
with that,
sisters,
it's a good thing to say.
in our unity lies our
Our
strength.
Amen. Thank you.
Great,
Thank you.
great job.